Alright, doing a short video on a 2014 Mack Pinnacle. These are the rear axles. You see one there and one here. Cabs there, tanks, chassis, walkway. Right in front of the front axle in the rear of the truck, you'll have an actuator. This is it right here. You can see that or not. These are the manifolds that plumb to several lines. It is pressurized, and this is a three-way valve, possibly a two-way valve, I'm not sure, but it's a Bendix valve. The problem with this is grade gripper malfunction. So the truck, essentially when it's on an incline or decline, will actuate the grade gripper, which sets the brakes above 3 degrees incline and then holds the brakes for 3 seconds unless you turn the grade gripper off manually. This is the solenoid here. It's about 200 bucks, $189, depending on where you get it from. This is my third time replacing this solenoid, which leaks internally and allows the brakes to prematurely actuate and engage while running down the highway. On this 2014 Mack, there's no telling how many thousands of dollars I have wound up and spent on fuel due to this dragging and partially engaging my trailer brakes only. Not the truck or the tractor, but just the trailer brakes. You can go to the back. When you get to the trailer, let's just say I'm driving the truck, I'll walk back there, I'll get underneath the trailer. If the trailer's there, and I'll touch the disc brakes on the inside, and they are hot to the touch. Cruising down the road using the exhaust brakes to come to a stop up a hill on the side of the road. That way I can kind of monitor them to see if they're actuated or not, or properly or partially engaged. Then I'll come back up here and I'll touch these brakes on my truck and on the front of my truck to make sure that if they're hot, I can touch these disc brakes up here and they're cool to the touch. They're not hot at all. But when I go back to the tractor, once it's hooked up, the back axle there, they're hot. You can't even put your hand on them. And that's all due to this little piece of crap right here. I hate this thing. This is my third module solenoid, Bendix solenoid, to be put on. And it just simply fails. I even added a long filter hose to try to help, make sure that the solenoid actually, this is what's called a service port back here, stays dry and not corroded or corrosive. And what this is, computer actuates it, and there's a valve inside. What happens is internally it'll leak. So when it has pressure on one side bleeding to the other side, it's applying the brakes. So I've taken it off of this area. There's just 2 bolts right here. You disconnect these lines. There's like one here, there's one right there, so there's 2 that would go into that manifold there. There's one right here, one down here, and these are slip fittings. In case you don't know, you just push them in, you get a screwdriver or flathead, push them in, and then the hose will just come out. As simple as that. That's all there is to it. You got a little sleeve here, and then when you press that in the fitting, it will release the collet around this tubing and it'll just come out. So anyway, this is where the system goes. It's right along this area here. It's real simple. You just take off these 2 bolts here. It has a nut on the bottom. I think it's 12 millimeter is what I have. I think it's a 13 nut. And then I take pictures of the manifold so that when I put it back, here's the nuts, and then there's 2 spacers right here that go in between the bracketry. So these go right under here. Anyway, it's real simple. It's not hard, guys. What I'm going to do, because you do not need grade gripper on your trailer brakes. I don't care. The tractor's enough. The tractor never malfunctions. It always releases. I can go from 8 miles a gallon on a light load on this. It's a light load, same load, and then have this issue and go to 5.5 gallons. That's a lot of fuel wasted. That's a lot of money just because of this solenoid. And you can look on Mack CXUs, Pinnacles, and other tractors, I believe from 2009 to 2014 and a half, somewhere around that area. They have this system, and there's a service bulletin, a field service bulletin you could pull up there on how to change this and fix it and da-da-da. And see, here's a little sleeve. It just pops in and then the hose will come out. As simple as that. So you just push that in and pull the hose out. But anyway, the update is to change this solenoid out. I've done that 3 times, and I'm sick of messing with it. So what am I doing? I'm going to delete it. I'm putting epoxy inside here. And mind you, this is parallel to the system. This does not actuate your brakes, your service brakes. It only is actuated through the harness into the computer, which tells it's on incline or decline, and it actuates the brakes automatically. It's separate from your service system. So I'm deleting this altogether, which will delete the grade gripper for the trailer, and I'm just simply going to put epoxy in there. So I've got an old solenoid that I've changed out in the past, and I'm going to fill it with epoxy. Here's a solenoid here. There's one orifice there. I don't know if you can see in there, but the valve is inside there. That's how it actuates and bypasses. So one side has air, the other side applies air, and then it'll actually dump it too as well when it releases. I'm just going to put marine epoxy, which is good for adhesive and sealant. It's good for 5 minutes. It'll set up in 1 hour. It's good for chemical and UV resistant. So 2-part epoxy. I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to pour it in that orifice and in this orifice, away from the threads. It's just a pipe thread is all it is, MPT. Once I do that, this will no longer activate, but the harness will be plugged in. That way you don't get a malfunction light on your dash. And if it actuates, it's just simply not going to do anything. So the air was bleeding in. So there's pressurized air on one side. It was bypassing, leaking into this side, engaging. It's just like putting the brakes on ever so gently or lightly going down the road on your trailer. And boy, the truck starts to rattling and shaking, and then it just kind of struggling, and then all of a sudden you see your miles per gallon drop. And you're thinking, okay, do I have a EGR issue? Is there a VGT turbo issue or something like that? You know what it is? It's a stupid $200 valve right here. It costs you thousands in fuel. Just delete it. It's not even necessary. The tractor will still engage the grade gripper when it's on an incline, and you can disable it. Everything will function just as it should. So instead of rerouting air hoses and everything else, which would be very complex on this side where the manifolds screw into this solenoid, I'm just going to simply bypass it by filling these ports. And your trailer will never have any issues prematurely applying the brakes going down the road. Hope this helps. I'm not a video producer. I could care less about entertaining you. This is for owner-operators that are struggling and wish to try to fix this issue on their truck. I know a lot of trucks, Macks, are potential and great in miles per gallon and savings, but if this is going on, which I know that I've had previous owners tell me that their mile per gallon, their fuel savings has dropped, it's all because of this right here. It's horrible. Anyway, hope this helps. God bless. All right, a quick overview on the modification.